メジャー翻訳速報。ワールドシリーズの興奮が続く中、第2戦で思わぬアクシデントが起きてしまいましたね。大谷翔平選手の左肩の状態が気になりますが、チーム首脳陣からは前向きな報告が出ています。2勝とリードを奪ったドジャースと本拠地での巻き返しを誓うヤンキース、第3戦の行方から大谷選手の怪我に関する情報まで、現地番組を日本語翻訳でお届けしていきます。この動画が面白いと思っていただけましたら、チャンネル登録よろしくお願いいたします。
A little bit later on, as we welcome you inside of this World Series edition of MLB Tonight, presented by Evan Williams Bourbon, Lauren Garden alongside World Series champ Ron Darling. And Ron, the series moves back to New York, down 0-2 here for the Yankees. It's going to be a tough one for the Yankees to dig out of, but if anyone knows how to do this, it would be you. You did it with your 86 Mets.
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to play in a team that lost both games at home and then had to go on the road to do it. So this is definitely, there's an avenue, certainly, for the Yankees to do this. More importantly, when you look at this, if you look at it realistically, the Dodgers held serve, right? So they won both games at their ballpark. The Yankees played so well all season long at Yankee Stadium. I expect them to do the same tomorrow, and it's a huge game, of course.
Yeah, Dodgers, a costly victory there in Game 2, a scary moment in the 7th as Shohei Ohtani suffered a partial shoulder dislocation attempting to steal second base. Now, Dave Roberts was optimistic following the game on Saturday, saying it was just that partial tear. The movement and the strength was really good. Let's go ahead and hear from the Dodgers skipper for the latest update on the two-way superstar.
So, as far as test results, we got doctors scrambling everywhere. I don't have them. This is more me going by the training staff. Shohei, feeling good this morning, range of motion, strength. He should be at the ballpark here in the next 30 minutes and going to go through the workout. And I think that, you know, taking dry swings, which he's done, but then obviously taking balls off the tee, batting practice in the cage, that's going to be telling. And I think that he's obviously very well aware of himself and his body. So if he feels good enough to go, then I see no reason why he wouldn't be in there. I think it's just, honestly, it's just kind of per his tolerance. That's just what it is. So I guess you can put it in the Freddie bucket, but, you know, guys have had this before and played, and again, it's just everyone's tolerance.
How compromised do you think he might be playing?
I don't see him being compromised. It's the left shoulder, which is the back shoulder, so I don't see how that affects his hitting if he's able to go. I really don't.
Ron, I would say read between the lines, but it seems like Doc was pretty straightforward. What do you make of that?
Well, anyone who's played a lot of sports, like Dave Roberts, has probably had a partial dislocation at some point. The funny thing about a dislocation, and I've had a few myself, is that the initial pain when you suffer the injury is so overwhelming that you can't believe that you can feel as well as you do so soon after that. So I would expect him to not only play, but also be close to 100%. Ironic. We hear the talk all the time of guys sliding head first, that you're going to hurt your hand or your shoulder. Well, he went feet first and ended up partially dislocating his shoulder. But, you know, it's the kind of injury when treated by the doctor, within 24 hours you feel much better, and I'm sure he's going to be ready to go.
You know, it's interesting. I covered a lot of football and a lot of hockey, and I've seen like a full dislocation and the pain associated with that. You could tell it was partial because you said it, like it kind of set in a little bit later, and then it would kind of ease. Now he's rehabbing the right arm from Tommy John. Now he has the left arm. Do you think it will impact his swing at all?
I don't think so. Now, the shoulder is a tricky thing. I remember after the great year that Matt Kemp had, where he finished second in the MVP voting as a Dodger, he hurt his shoulder. In the next couple of years, he was compromised. The same happened to other players. So shoulders are a little tricky, but I think rehabbing his right arm, Tommy John, is not going to be a problem. He's been doing that all year. And if he can stand the pain, the lingering pain that he's going to have, and I'm sure that he'll be able to take some things that'll help ease that pain, we'll put him in a good spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a World Series, do or die. At this point in time, it seems like Shohei Ohtani is an absolute gamer. You're seeing Freddie Freeman do the same thing. Exactly.
They're studs, Lauren. They're ready to go.
If there's any time to gut it out, it is right now in the Fall Classic, especially with a 2-0 lead. Another superstar in question, of course, is Yankees slugger Aaron Judge, who went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts in Game 2. You had a front row seat during the DS as well as the CS with the Yankees. What have you seen from him that's just not working well?
You know, I take it back to even before the hitting part of it. He's such a conscientious human being, conscientious captain, teammate, that I know he knows that the legacy of anyone who's the captain of the Yankees is becoming a world champion at some point. So no one wants it anymore. And I'm wondering if somehow that kind of plays in, because right now he is locked into a place that a lot of hitters get to, and that is he's in between. He's a little late on the fastball. He's a little ahead of the breaking balls. And listen, what do I know about hitting? I know that I couldn't do it. But I do know as a pitcher, when you're facing a hitter, even as great as Aaron is that they kind of get themselves out. What do I mean by that? Well, at some point, if there's a pitch that they continue to swing at, especially out of the strike zone, you continue to go with that pitch as long as you can. What happens now, though, because he's in between, is that fastballs that he has handled, even as soon as the DS at times, he is not handling now. So late, as you can see that fastball by him, and real early on the breaking pitch. And those are the kind of things that have put him in a bad spot. The sweeper that they continue to throw that starts over the middle of the plate is now freezing him on the fastball, a pitch that he would usually offer at. And they're doing, I mean, you have to give the Dodgers pitchers a lot of credit because they keep executing this pitch over and over. And so far, Aaron hasn't been able to lay off. Think about it this way, is that he had a game in the ALDS where I think he walked twice, scored twice, and had a sacrifice fly. Maybe that's all the Dodgers are giving him.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe he's got to think to himself, if I stop chasing, very hard to do, easy for me to say, then maybe he has one of those games where he walks twice, sacrifice fly, drives in a run, scores two. I think what's really important is that as a hitter, you really have to try to understand what the pitchers are doing, how they're trying to get you out. And I think if you look at where he's at right now, is he going to have a game that erases his numbers in the postseason? Of course he's not. But he can affect the outcome of the series by kind of making it a little easier on himself, that he doesn't have to hit the 5-run homer. All he has to do is kind of stay within himself, what he did all summer long, and that is he took the chase out of his game. The chase has come back now during this postseason.
And I love what you're saying there about sac flies, taking your walks, just getting on base. He's the captain. He doesn't even like to talk about himself. We know that goes all the way back to Fresno, where you're fine for saying me or I. Chase rates are up. He's even missing the mistakes, Ron. But this is something he experienced early on in the season. He obviously had a little bit longer leash to correct himself, but it seems like he can find it again.
Lauren, you make a great point. You know, in April, Aaron Boone was answering all these questions before. You know, what's wrong with Judge? How come he's not hitting? What he's chasing, this or that or whatever. And he turned it into one of the most historic 5 months you can have in baseball. I think that when I hear him quoted as saying he feels like he lets the team down when he doesn't respond, that's a lot of pressure to put on himself. You know, you lose as a team, you win as a team. He can only do as much. If you expected that he's going to hit a homer and drive in 4 every game, very rarely happens in the postseason because the pitching is so much better than it is in the regular season.
That's also a great point.
But, you know, you can see the chase. And when I see chase from a great hitter off a great year, I see frustration. And frustration is only natural. It's a human response. And I'm sure being at home and having a chance maybe with the shorter portion right to stay on the ball longer might put him in a better spot.
I feel like all it takes is one swing. Now, I want to ask you this question because we're here in the Northeast. I've listened to a lot of Yankees talk on the podcast, and there have been some calls for Aaron Boone to switch things up in the lineup. Would you do that, especially since they're so righty heavy at the top?
Yeah, I would not switch it up. You know, you can still go back to thinking that maybe Rizzo or Jazz Chisholm can fit in that fourth spot and move Stanton down. The reason I wouldn't do it, one, you're talking about a superstar that's hit there all year. I'd be very reluctant to move my superstar. And Soto and Stanton are on top of their game. Why move everyone around and put everyone, compromise everyone or challenge everyone to a different place in the lineup. Stay with it and trust that Aaron's going to get it just figured out.
And to that point, Judge has hit third every single game this year. I would say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but maybe he will turn it around. And like we just said, it only takes one swing. We're going to step aside here on this World Series edition of MLB Tonight. Coming up next, we talk about another MVP, a hobbled hero, a home run in each game of the World Series so far. Ron tells us how an out may have turned the tide for Freddie Freeman. Place, and we appreciate the hustle. Shohei Ohtani left last night's game after injuring his shoulder, sliding into second base. Now, Dave Roberts spoke this evening. What's the latest?
That's a big question, right? Will Shohei Ohtani be in this lineup come Game 3 here at Yankee Stadium tomorrow night? Dave Roberts was asked that question right off the bat. Here's what he had to say.
So, as far as test results, we got doctors scrambling everywhere. I don't have them. This is more me going by the training staff. Shohei, feeling good this morning, range of motion, strength. He should be at the ballpark here in the next 30 minutes and going to go through the workout.
So the team flew out last night. They ended up taking a red eye. They got in around 7 a.m. this morning. They got to the hotel around 8:30. Shohei went on a separate flight, and Shohei has been taking dry swings, but the batting practice in the cage is really what's going to be telling. Once they determine that he can play, Doc assumes that there isn't a possibility of Ohtani injuring his shoulder any further. He also feels that since it's his left shoulder, his back shoulder, that it really shouldn't compromise his hitting, LG. It's more or less a matter of pain tolerance.
Wow, so it sounds promising if you're a Dodgers fan. Sierra, Aaron Judge's struggles have continued into the Fall Classic with the Yankees down 0-2. How important is it for them that their captain gets back on track? I know we've been asking this all postseason.
100%. And if you ask Judge, he's also feeling the pressure of it because over this last 5-game stretch of the postseason, Aaron Judge's chase rate has doubled compared to the regular season. As to why he's been expanding the strike zone, he explained last night that he's been trying to force things instead of letting the game come to him. Bottom line, the answer is simple enough. He's got to start swinging at strikes. Last night, he was asked if he felt like he was a little bit closer to being in the right place going into Game 2. He pointed at the at-bat against Brusdar Graterol in Game 1, in which he got his lone hit in this World Series. LG, he said himself, when it comes down to it, he has just got to get the job done.
Yeah, and you know that he's a team-first guy. The captain really feeling the pressure, especially down 0-2 in the series. Clark Schmidt Sierra will get the ball for the Yankees here in Game 3. Walker Buehler will get the start for the Dodgers. What's Buehler's game plan for tomorrow night?
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to familiarity, when it comes to these two Game 3 starting pitchers, throw it out the window. Clark Schmidt has never faced the Dodgers. Walker Buehler has never faced the Yankees. Now, Buehler has played 2 World Series games. He started 2 World Series games. Those both resulted in Dodger wins. And he said it before, and he's really driven it home. He loves the big moment. He loves the cold weather. Heck, he even loves Game 3s. Here he is talking about it.
I think the weather, I think the stadium has something to do with it. So, as I said, having never thrown here, I'm not really sure if that will kind of continue. But yeah, you know, I said it before that game. I like pitching in the cold, and so yeah, hope it gets down there a little bit tomorrow.
And just to drive the point home, he also did have that Game 3 start at Citi Field. All of his starts have been Game 3s, and he really does enjoy the rowdy environment. You can expect this place to be absolutely electric tomorrow. And Schmidt, on the other hand, he hasn't made a playoff start. He has a scoreless relief appearance at Yankee Stadium, and that's what I mean, at Yankee Stadium. He's never started in the playoffs at Yankee Stadium. So if you're looking to pull numbers on how these guys match up with their opposing lineups, you're going to have to do some deep digging, LG. Now, the Yankees opted to fly out today instead of leaving on that red eye tomorrow. So we're not going to see them work out today. The soonest we'll see them is back here for Game 3.
Oh, interesting. I know that sleep doctors really get involved in team travel, so interesting to hear that's a route that the Yankees chose. And, of course, Walker Buehler loves pitching in the cold. I know you and I don't like reporting in the cold, so good for him.
No, I hate it. It's miserable.
Stay warm out there, Sarah.
Get me hand warmers.
We'll send some hand warmers here from Secaucus, New Jersey. We appreciate you. We'll hear back from you a little bit later on in the show. It's time now for In the Making, presented by Adobe. And Ron, we're going to start here with Walker Buehler. Sarah talked about him at length, but what did you see from him in the start in the NLCS?
Well, you know, it's so interesting to watch Walker because I feel like we've been watching him for 10 years because he has appeared in so many postseason games, and he's just been a delight to watch, especially how competitive he's always been throughout his starts in the postseason. But now he's coming off an injury, you know, Tommy John surgery, and trying to kind of redefine or rediscover himself and see how he performs best under the pressure. And watching him in that Game 3 against the Mets was very, very impressive. There was a time when Walker would just bully hitters. That's how good he was. He had such upper velocity, 97 plus, that when he was in trouble, that's what you'd see. But now he's kind of changed the game plan. And that sweeper has become a big pitch. The knuckle curve has become a great pitch. So when he's behind in the count, he used to go to the fastball most of the time to get hitters out. Now he's really learned kind of the art, the science of pitching. And watching him face hitters when he is in trouble. Before, like I said, he would kind of bully the hitter. But now he's more subtle. He's more craftsman-like. And against Lindor here, a lot of breaking balls early in the count, and then he surprised him with 2 fastballs up in the zone. That fastball up in the zone sets that breaking ball right off it, and on a 3-2 count with 2 outs and bases loaded, he came up with the pitch of his life, or at least the pitch of his life in that series to come through. The number that jumps out at me is the sweeper percentage and how it's jumped threefold from his season average. So that is the pitch he is feeling. That is the pitch that he's able to throw for strikes when he's behind. And it's also the pitch he's able to put hitters away if he has to. He's pitching almost backwards from what we saw him before. Before, he's at you real hard, put you away with a slider. Now he kind of finagles his way to 2 strikes, sometimes with a sweeper, sometimes with a curve, and then he can put you away late with the fastball.
Ron, it's a game of adjustments. It's his walk year, and I love to see it. I feel like we kind of saw something similar from Clayton Kershaw. Like, once you feel that you can't physically just overpower guys, you almost have to learn how to pitch again.
Well, the great pitchers kind of figure it out. Walker Buehler probably is one of those guys that when he was 10 years old was able to throw the ball by anyone at any time. And that continued into his professional career. But because he's come off this Tommy John surgery, and it's kind of funny when I see guys come off the Tommy John surgery. What's that saying? No man crosses the river the same way twice. Not the same man, not the same river.
Wow.
So coming off Tommy John surgery, sometimes guys react in different ways. They pick up velocity, they lose velocity, they lose the feel of their breaking pitch, or they get a new kind of breaking pitch. And I think all of that exploring by Buehler has put him in a nice place now for his start tomorrow.
Yeah, and apparently he's amped up to be in the raucous environment at Yankee Stadium. Clark Schmidt making his first postseason start at Yankee Stadium himself will be getting the ball in Game 3 for the Bronx Bombers. Should be a good one. He's had quite the journey. I know you talked to Aaron Boone about this, and it's almost like his whole life he's been set up for this moment.
You know, he's a very confident pitcher, and he should be with the stuff he has. The season was kind of uneven, though. When he started his career, it feels like the same Garrett Cole start.
メジャー翻訳速報。大谷翔平選手の肩の状態が心配でしたが、デーブ・ロバーツ監督の説明によると、朝には良い状態との報告があり、少し安心しました。ワールドシリーズという大舞台で、このようなアクシデントは残念ですが、大谷選手の強い精神力で乗り越えてくれると信じています。また、ウォーカー・ビューラー投手の変化も興味深く、トミー・ジョン手術後の投球スタイルの変更で、より巧みな投手へと進化している姿が印象的でした。皆様の思いやご感想などありましたらコメント欄までお願いいたします。では次回の動画でお会いしましょう。ご視聴ありがとうございました。